We will be jumping into this with Empire versus V.P. I actually haven't had a pause at the beginning of games all day, and now that I've said that, we're going to, but we're going to do the intros and just make there be no pause, folks. We are going to see on Tidehunter, Yoku playing up that Kraken beast. We've got G on the Death Prophet, SNG on the Lion. We're also going to be seeing Lifestealer being played up by ALOHANDANCE, and last but not least, we've got Nofear on the Earth Spirit.
Alright, and here in the off lane for the Radiant side, Team Empire, we've got Afterlife on the Tachyon Master, the Faceless Void. In the mid lane coming around, it's Miposhka burning up on that Phoenix. And then Scandal, who will end up taking the mid lane, is going to be on the Puck. Then down in the safe lane, we've got Ramzes sliding around to that Slark, and KingR thieving on the Rubick.
I'm really excited to see this Rubick performance. It's just a hero that we don't always get to see, courtesy of the fact that he does want a little bit more farm, and especially if you're not playing into a lineup with a lot of big teamfight spells, it can be frustrating to be a Rubick, so we haven't gotten to see too many shine, but I definitely think this is one where if V.P on top of all of their stuff, this Rubick can make their lives absolute hell.
I still think that the standout performance of the year so far has been KingR on Rubick earlier on, when he was playing up against that Enigma in... Was it the other Star Series Invitational?
I want to say it was, but yeah, it's just a fantastic performance, and it's always fun to watch. We got pennants, I swear, catch me if I'm wrong on this, Gorgon, but I swear the pennants for casters did not used to show up this way. Because I've casted these teams, and I'm sitting here going, what are these pennants?
Yeah, that does seem
It does seem new, but anyway, it's not too much screen real estate. You'll have to hope nothing gets dropped there. Faceless Void gonna try to steal the creep wave, but instead will take quite a bit of damage, has to time walk away. Should be, well, actually, they might have another stun since it's taken so long, but ALOHANDANCE more interested in the creeps. We'll get back to that.
Yeah, had he invested too heavily in that, he would have missed an entire wave of creeps and probably wouldn't have gotten the kill anyway. So just going to let F and G do as much of their harass as possible before they engage too heavily with the kill. A similar sort of action going on down here in the bottom lane, where Earth Spirit's actually going to hang out down here for a little while and harass Ramzes out.
Yeah, I really like this, making life very difficult for the hard carry. Always seems like the right thing to do if you are on that off lane, and it just means more utility, forces the supports to stay down here instead of ganking the Death Prophet, or even heading up to top lane, although as I say that, Afterlife just taking some harassment, just being a Faceless Void.
Yeah, it'll be alright. They don't have a lot of burst in this lane, so the strategy for knocking Afterlife down is going to be whittle him down in such slow increments that there's never really good time walk-off damage.
They may just auto-attack down Yoku. No, he eats it very bad. Never mind, sorry. He was getting very low, you were saying.
That's pretty much it. Got through it. Taking a look at the mid lane, Scandal up into the Death Prophet. Death Prophet should come out in the early game with a pretty sizable advantage here for last sitting, but as the puck does get up some additional phase shift, he should be able to catch back up, especially since his ability to run bottles he's just more mobile to get to that room than the Death Prophet is.
I also think it'll be a really important question of how well does this lane go for G, and how well does the bottom lane go, because obviously, as I'm saying that, Yoku's actually being telekinesis up, having quite a bit of trouble. There is the roll in to try to make sure Ramzes has to go away, and actually now Ramzes getting very low here. One more hit will kill him. Oh no, he's eating. He eats up the tango. He was in the single digits there, I think, and now Yoku looking to be in trouble again. Telekinesis coming up cooldown in 5 seconds, and that'll be our first blood. But they go back in, trying to find Ramzes, and Nofear unable to get that one.
Nofear was so confident that he got that kill that he turned away. There was no reason for him to turn away other than, oh, I got this kill, and I don't want to hang around here longer than I have to. That's gotta hurt. They traded out a first blood. Nofear's probably going down here too. He doesn't have mana. No, they don't have another shot. Good play.
He will get the TP away, but obviously huge save there on Ramzes, and just getting away. Tango Gaming, stout shields too.
Yeah, that's got to be a heart-sinking moment though for Nofear. He had that kill dead to rights, could have gotten it, wouldn't have died for it, still rolling boulder to get out if he needed to, and just miscalculated. G-Ping has to been in the mid lane. Should be okay.
Just taking that full Sunray, and the Icarus dies slow, so just not the greatest, but also not game-changing. I was trying to say earlier that depending on how well this bottom lane goes for V.P, they can stop these types of Phoenix rotations on mid, but it looks like after that kill, they feel very confident.
Right, well, they get a little bit of level onto the way of Ramzes, get him up to the point where he has both the pounce and the dart attack available, and then he doesn't feel quite so vulnerable for that exact reason, right? He just pounces away whenever the mini stun comes out of Nofear. I don't know that Miposhka is going to be able to contribute that much to mid, because Death Prophet's native HP pool isn't that high, and she does have a bottle, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, there's another Spirit Siphon coming out onto Scandal. G actually in a little bit of trouble. Oh, and Puck, one more auto attack will bring down the Death Prophet. G goes down. Scandal, nice jump on over, and will start to establish some dominance in this lane.
Yeah, that was really far forward of Death Prophet. She must have had nice dodge by Scandal on that stun, but the haste run on FNG.
Yeah, they are still trying to make this happen. FNG with the auto attack. There's another orb up, and FNG may actually just go down here. No uphill miss for Scandal. And at the same time, Nofear trying to make something happen on the Phoenix, but just doesn't quite have the auto attack. Does get it. Finally. But that is 4-1 in favor of Empire.
So I think that this little exchange perfectly encapsulates what Virtus.Pro's problem has been for the last several months, really, in terms of we were talking that they've been on a decline lately, right?
Yeah.
Especially G and FNG, but really the team as a whole. They have a tendency to take very high-risk, medium-reward plays, and when every single one of those, or the vast majority of those plays works out, yoky in the bottom lane will die.
Yeah.
In the meantime, but when those plays tend to work out back to back to back to back, the game obviously goes very well for them. But in most games that you play, if you're taking a ton of high risk, medium reward plays, you end up coming out behind on them, because you don't get quite as much reward for 2 or 3 of those as you lose for losing just one of them.
It's very difficult, as you said. I think it comes back to this discipline thing. You have to play a bit more conservatively in Dota 2. There was an era where the big flashy plays were really what ended up paying off, and people have now done their calculations, balanced their books, and it is that solid play, sometimes a little bit less killing, a little bit more just sitting back and farming, that ends up winning you the day. KingR should go down here. Do they have the damage? Phoenix is Sunraying, but the Anchor Smash going to be more than enough, and just Sunray can't quite heal through that.
That's a nice little pick for Virtus.Pro, getting them back on the map and control, but they're going to lose Nofear, so anything that they just got out of that, handily lost. Can't be giving Scandal this kind of early game, and he finds an arcane room to boot.
Yeah, just ready to give it a go again, thinking about finishing off this Tidehunter. Yoku is level 5, doesn't quite have the Ravage yet. They've opened up, Scandal has that drink roll, throws the orb, and there they go with the kill, going over to the Slark.
Yeah, so for a good chunk of this early game, the Lifesteal and the Death Prophet were way on top of the assets, or way on top of the net worth, excuse me. Lifesteal are still sitting pretty far up on top of the net worth, but the Puck now having crossed the Death Prophet by a fair margin, and the Slark getting there. Slark doesn't farm quite that fast, and he has had a lot of pressure, but he will be able to catch back up with Dark Path here in the jungle pretty soon.
And the other really worrying thing here, I would say, for VP is that your Lifestealer doing well does not feel like it's enough to recover from how the Slark and the Puck are doing so well. Your Lifestealer might not get to the point where he is... Oh, we have an engagement in the mid lane. There's going to be a nice stun coming out onto Miposhka. They get that pick, but immediately the double string coil onto the 2 supports. FNG just going to try to TP away. There's the Spirit Siphon, a nice silence up on the Scandal. A Crypt Swarm coming on through as well, and a fast auto attack. The phase shift just enough to get him away.
At least they got the Dream Coil out of it, and they got a kill. That was another one of those plays that could have gone really, really wrong for Virtus.Pro.
Yeah, Nofear taking a lot of damage. He tries to get away, but the telekinesis is too good. Icarus dive to slow up G. There are Fiery Spirits as well, the Sunray coming out. But G, very, very tanky, like you talked about. Using that Spirit Siphon, actually turning around on them. Now more health than KingR. ALOHANDANCE coming in. There's the open wood. Just trying to rip forward with the rage. Needs a couple more hits. No, he gets time lock. And ALOHANDANCE suddenly caught out. No more rage. Jumps into a creep to save his life. He's just going to walk it off. There is another ult. He jumps out of the infest. He doesn't have mana. He has a mango, actually. Ready there. And they just finished off the Rubick with the Crypt Swarm.
Wow, that was a crazy turn of events. But bear in mind, right, Empire, as they went into that, the most they were really risking, realistically, unless things just went wildly out of control, was that they might lose the Rubick probably he's the only one who's really at risk there. Whereas Virtus.Pro, the way that they played that, their Death Prophet was under siege, their Lifestealer was under threat of dying, their Earth Spirit was also under threat of dying, and FNG was forced to TP out. So just a lot more risk coming out of Virtus.Pro, even though both teams had a similar amount to gain from a win there.
Puck again getting down to those single digits, and another pick on the tide. They stopped the roll from Nofear. KingR just too good with this hero. Nofear in a lot of trouble. 1 or 2 more auto attacks. There they go. They'll manage to reach him. And Ramzes gets himself another kill. He is sitting on 3-0-2.
And he is now
9 minutes
closing the gap in terms of net worth. He's only 100 behind the Lifestealer, who was 800 ahead of him not that long ago.
Now, this is really scary. You do not want to face up against a farmed Slark, especially one this early on with so much kill involvement and potential. They're trying to go on the top. A nice silence coming out. The heal not going to be enough from the Phoenix, and they find something in this mid lane for VP.
Yeah, Empire still doing a lot of damage here. That Sunray is nothing to scoff at. ALOHANDANCE is getting pretty deep. 8 seconds for the Chronosphere.
And at the same time, yoky taking a lot of damage. Ramzes hitting like a truck even though he doesn't have too much. I'm a little bit surprised.
Yeah, it's just a pretty solid hero in terms of early game damage output. If you get a little bit going, his ability to go ahead and get some survivability, get the attack speed up, and just kind of roll into opponents based on a level advantage alone is more than most first position.
Time is money.
We do have a smoke coming out from VP trying to make something happen. The Radiant do not have a good idea of this. Although VP haven't blown their scan, they're gonna run into KingR. They should at least get the Rubick. They've actually got Slark thinking about coming around, but he will quickly back out as KingR is melted from the map, and they go for the bottom tower push.
Yeah, that's good. They got a good pick. They're going to use the Exorcism, grab this tower. That should be a boost of gold in terms of helping them complete items. It won't, because the Armlet is already up to the Lifestealer, so they're not going to be able to use any of this gold right away. The advantage won't be sown immediately, but at least if they can stem off the bleeding in terms of dying, they can utilize that advantage soon.
And the game's still really close. VP taking the gold lead with that tower, and also a little bit ahead in experience. As you said, though, they have to be careful about how much bleeding happens here, because it does feel like Empire have their number in a couple of these engagements.
Yeah, so Virtus.Pro are ahead in terms of some loose metrics, but in terms of rotation control, Empire have really been dictating when fights are happening, even though Virtus.Pro have been the ones trying to initiate. And that is a really good point to find yourself in a game, especially if you are sitting on top of potentially reactive heroes like the Phoenix, like the Faceless Void, like the Puck. If you can force your opponents to make engagements but not shoot to win, such as this, where ALOHANDANCE goes out too far, gets caught out.
That was a beautiful rotation there. Just making sure that they had all the heroes and all the damage they needed before the rage can come out. And now, hopefully getting that tier 1 tower in that top lane is going to really cut off a lot of vision for VP, the same way VP did for this bottom tower.
Yeah, Empire can't push anywhere near as fast as Virtus.Pro could, but they do still have the Dream Coil, and the threat of that may be enough to keep this Tidehunter back. Maybe not.
Yeah,
though.
but the threat of the Tidehunter may be enough to make all of Empire back. They do not look like they want anything to do with this. We're going to see Faceless Void. He actually will. No, just off the mark. Faceless Void will have another time walk in 6 seconds, so it's not looking good for their odds on finding him. And maybe just the push now coming out, since G does have Exorcism up.
Boy, Nighttime fell at just the right time for Afterlife there. That reduced vision probably just saved his life.
Nice little thing there. Nobody level 7, despite a bunch of level 6s. That's cute. Not important though. We will see VP take another tower, help to secure a bit more of a lead. And as you said, just not quite the pushing lineup on Empire. So even though they'll try to capitalize in mid a little, it doesn't look like they'll find much.
No, this is brilliant from Virtus.Pro, right? If they have this advantage, they will only have this advantage for a very small window of the game, and they're going to make sure that they're utilizing it sooner rather than later. This tower gold is going to sink into items for them as well. And once that happens, they've actualized that advantage into combat, and that's when they can start to actually take fights.
They're just continuing to use the loss of that Exorcism. We see a lot of pings coming out on this Lion. Benji thinking about getting something done, but without the support of any teammates, just gonna have to stand there, get some solo experience, and that'll be that.
Slark is sitting on top of 2100 gold, still has no core items up. The Puck does have the Veil of Discord up, and The armlet is up on the light.
The telekinesis onto G, not gonna get her away, and Lifestealer will realize he has to back on out. A nice Dream Coil, and then the telekinesis to punish him. And yes, he will be dead.
That's another case where it just felt like G was maybe a little too far forward, right? It's just, what does he gain from being up there? A couple of creeps? Maybe if he gets really lucky, he gets a small kill, but the flip side of that is he is ahead in the net worth, and if he dies, his team is no longer ahead in the net worth.
Yeah, it just, you can see here, the gold is very, very close, and Empire, by not having the same type of tower advantage, catching back up to VP's farm.
And once those towers do start to crumble in favor of Empire, it's going to be difficult for Virtus.Pro to keep up. They need to, especially because the Slark doesn't have any core items yet. Nope, he just got a Shadow Blade. So never mind. Maybe that window has passed. Maybe Virtus.Pro needs to start taking fights once they get the mechanism up on the 500 instead.
Well, we'll have to wait a little bit longer. Both teams starting to calm down some, just waiting for those items. As you mentioned, that's going to be Slark. Having that delivered out. Looks like Phoenix is going back for a Midas. Makes a lot of sense here, especially if you're not 100% sure how late you're going to be taking this one. May as well get that up, get some levels, get more hits on your Supernova.
Yeah, it's pretty standard on Phoenix as well, though, to go in for that extra set of levels on a relatively late Minus. He should actually get this at a pretty decent time for a support Phoenix, though.
And Puck also has the Veil. Pretty standard there. We'll work on the Blink next, but Veil just helps you with a bit more damage in those team fights for now, and also helps you with the farming. I'm also liking that we're seeing a lot of infused raindrops around this map.
Yeah, there's a lot of magical damage in this draft. An atypical amount of magical damage, to be quite honest, for this current patch, since we normally have so many strength heroes.
Yeah, as you said, just normally drops much more full of them strength heroes, and right now it's just kind of Lifestealer, Titan, Earth Spirit, but Earth Spirit does a lot of magical damage for a strength hero. We have a lot of hiding up here in the top lane.
Yeah, there was a scan a minute ago that flickered for just the briefest millisecond as FNG walked over it. And because of that, Team Empire know that there is a sting operation going on somewhere in this general area, and they're going to rotate up and try to bait somebody.
Well, at the same time, the rest of VP looks like they are coming up. Slark, of course, very fast. Won't be able to walk over the map. But we'll see if it's fast enough. Man, immediately the Hex coming out onto Afterlife. Got a play for the Lion, but he needs to finish the deal. They need to kill off Afterlife. They do manage to, despite the Phoenix. And now the Finger coming out onto KingR. The Spirit Siphon will be enough to bring him down. This Dream Call from Puck will secure the kill on the Earth Spirit, but all in all, 2 for 1. And Faceless Boy just unable to do anything under the quick fingers of FNG.
Yeah, and G should be able to, rotate into the mid lane and help knock down that tower as well. Or he's just going to go creep for a little bit. No big deal. The team can
we
take it
actually
without him.
still have a fight on the sidelines here. Slark's going to open up onto ALOHANDANCE to immediately pop that rage. Wants to be magic immune. We still have the Ravage that's already on yoky. He can throw it out here. He does manage to hit 2. Both of them silenced up, and now the damage coming out from VP will be enough to bring down those 2 cores.
That was really well played by Virtus.Pro, all things considered. It looked a little loose at first, but they managed to make it work. Afterlife, however,
looking for at least the ALOHANDANCE. There's the Supernova. The rage comes out from ALOHANDANCE. Luckily, doesn't get back there, and will just be able to walk it away. So, unfortunately, no follow-up coming out from Afterlife.
Okay, so Tower Aggro was stuck on a creep inside that Chronosphere for the first 3 or 4 attacks, and had it not been, that Lifestealer was definitely dead. An unfortunate turn of events for Empire. That was a very nice Chronosphere.
And obviously VP going to take a bit of a lead with that fight, but this whole first 17 minutes have been very back and forth when we take a look at the net worth chart. As you said, it's still hard to say exactly who's in the lead because of the jump potential of both lineups. This is a really aggressive smoke considering that they just used Ravage, they just used almost everything, and they're going to walk right by the Phoenix. It is daytime. I'm not sure where the vision is coming out here. Puck goes for the TP. Oh, no, hasn't. Can't TP down bottom. Scandal's going to get caught out here, silenced up, and they'll bring down that Fairy Dragon.
I would say that Virtus.Pro, despite the fact that the network league is really, really close, Virtus.Pro are in control right now. They won't necessarily remain in control if the lead remains close. They need to start leveraging that into a greater lead. But because Lifestealer has gotten the Armlet and the Echo Saber, he by himself is just more ready to be combat active than the Slark is. Slark is more of an initiator right now, but he cannot himself just kind of front line and lead the team around the way ALOHANDANCE is going to be able to.
Yeah, it's a really nice job done from VP. Initiating, despite not having the Ravage, it means that when they take this Roshan, it's mostly going to be covered by the Ravage. Actually, no, still ages on that cooldown. I was expecting the next fight is going to have it. Like, there is no contest.
Right, there's not going to be any sort of defense here. I'm not sure that there even is anything that Empire can do. Even without the Ravage, the threat of Exorcism in that choke point as well, the silence and the stun coming out of Boulder Smash along with the Magnetize, that's not something that you want to fight into if you are playing from behind.
I am just really impressed with how much VP got done during that Ravage downtime. You're right, the other big ults were up, but it's often something where we see a lot of teams, they have to just sit back, can't do too much objective-wise without the Ravage.
He did also have the mechanism up, so it's not like he wasn't able to contribute to the sustain of the fight, but you're right. Having that Ravage up is a fairly crucial fulcrum point for VP's overall fight potential.
And Ramzes gets a lesson in the Lifestealer, taking a lot of damage there when Lifestealer just opens up on him with the Echo Saber. He has to be more careful, but it looks like the last tier 1 going to be falling in favor of VP. See if they decide to drop Exorcism and whether Empire want to mount a defense.
I do actually like this Echo Saber pickup for Lifestealer. I'm curious if it will scale into the late game the way that they probably need it to. They do seem to be having some trouble clearing down towers right now. But at least for now, it gives them a little bit more push, which is going to assert their dominance that much better. And it also gives them the ability to blow up either the Rubick or the Puck if they get their hands on it, and also help knock down the Phoenix Egg.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense, not only in the blow-up sense, but also heal Lifestealer back up. 2 hits immediately on a tanky unit could really just put him back up in health, and that's something that sometimes the Lifestealer needs, especially since he plays on the Armlet, being very low health, and of course, sometimes raging into questionable positions.
Yeah, so that's... I'm always of mixed mind on that, and I think the jury is still a little out on this item. It's only a month old, right? Because you get, what, like 0.2 attack speed added in, and suddenly you're getting over the 5-second duration, the same amount of attacks. Yeah. But if you are in a case where the Echo Saber happens to come off cooldown, and you do happen to really need 2 attacks right there to heal up off of the open wounds of the beast, yeah, that's obviously great. But the situation in which that will be likely to line up exactly as you need seems more uncommon, I think, than theoretically possible.
Definitely an item that, as you said, still new, still figuring out whether it is worth it early game versus just maybe a bit later building into the Moonshard or the AC. So players will figure it out. We'll have the numbers sometime. Right now, the Slark is sitting on 3,500 gold.
Yeah, he sure is. He's not sitting on top of anything in terms of actionable impact. He's probably going to go into the Silver Edge right now and then disassemble that later. Maybe he's just going straight in. So,
okay, we hear an Exorcism has been released by KingR, but will it be enough here? Looks like they may just kill him down in the stolen Exorcism.
Yeah, Empire are bleeding a lot away here. It's a lot of really small players, a lot of really small picks that are feeding into their opponents, but it's going to start adding up very, very soon.
And as you said, not quite something they can afford. They were farming well, coming back into it, but they do still need to worry about this Wombo combo. And I think the scary thing is that VP are getting a lot of these pickoffs without utilizing those huge spells, right? They didn't need Magnetize, they didn't drop the Exorcism or the Ravage.
Yeah, I will say that for Empire are still farming really well, right? The Slark is basically keeping up with the Lifestealer, even though Lifestealer is 3, 1, and 5. The problem is that he's not building anything. He's trying to rush an expensive item, and by rushing into that expensive item, he's making it so that he can't really contribute to his team right now.
Radiant structures are fortified.
There's a whole period in the game that he's just not providing anything for Empire.
Middle tower is under attack.
We'll have to see how it ends up. Working out, it looks like, again, no Exorcism needed for this tower. EV will be able to go somewhere else. Lifestealer pops that raid, trying to get it. Does the Puck deny, just not quite on the mark, and they will back on up. They still have about less than a minute on that Aegis, so probably not going to be able to use it here on VP.
Slark waiting for somebody to teleport into the base and then try to rotate out to push this bottom lane so that he can blow them up, but unfortunately it was a TP directly to the tower coming out of G, and that means that Slark is not going to be able to find that solo pickoff that he wanted. He did pick up the Orb of Venom and most of his components for the Scotty, so that should be coming out here pretty soon. Might just need a point booster left.
Oh, he also bought up a BKB.
Oh, was that the BKB?
Yeah, I think he bought just the Orb of Venom and then the BKB instead.
That makes sense.
It does. I'm a little surprised, as you said, he didn't just go the tankier route, but there really is a lot of disable and probably getting sick of the silence, since you can Dog Pact 1 and then there's another silence with, well, the spell is actually just called Silence on Death Prophet. This drives me insane, but then of course on the Earth Spirit there's the silence as well.
Right, and the silence on the Earth Spirit is linked to a different ability, so it doesn't really have a name, it's just an effect. Yeah, it's complicated. But Ramzes has been having a lot of trouble getting that Dark Pact off at the right moment, because there often isn't a right moment. I think this BKB is a pretty solid pickup, but he needs to start getting active with it. He can't just use it as a defensive item.
Unfortunately, I mean, we can see them. They are trying and trying. VP actually doesn't have much vision, and you can see Empire has put up these wards trying to be like, okay, we will find a straggler, and they're just not finding anyone.
Here we go.
Oh,
they're going to
Chronosphere. Yeah, they're going in on yoky. They have to kill him off before the team fights on. They're looking for it, but he gets on the Ravage. There's the BKB. There's the stolen Ravage from KingR. He was raged up, wasn't taking any of that Ravage, but now he is in a lot of trouble. He's dead. The Phoenix Supernova is going to go down, and suddenly, oh, everybody getting really low from this business. Did he steal the exorcism as well? No, surely not. He was already dead. This is G's exorcism. She will go down. Very confusing because of all the stolen stuff, but a nice job there by the puck with the Dream Coil, with the orbs on through while they were fighting. And Empire take it.
A lot of that damage came out of the Slark, and a lot more of that damage came out of the Veil of Discord amplification, right? So it was a deceptive amount of damage, but I really do like they got the BKB, and then they immediately got active for Team Empire. They realized that they couldn't just kind of sit back and let VP get another tier of item before they engaged. If that Death Prophet had got enough to Octarine before Empire were ready to get mobile, they probably would have been able to crack high ground. And now it's a game, right? It's a fight. And Virtus.Pro seem on the back foot for the first time in a little while.
Yeah, it's been very back and forth. This one's going to be a big swing in favor of Empire. Scandal also picks up a Dagon, level 1. Probably, well, could just keep that at level 1, could end up leveling it, but just another thing to pound away, ghost down the Death Prophet maybe. Meanwhile, we see Ramzes doing a good job of finding out yoky, but he's just gonna Guardian Greaves up and not even worry.
Yeah, I don't think
actually he
Slark
maxed before the Guardian Greaves arrived and then had them combined. That's always fun.
I don't think that Slark is going to move too heavily with this Titan because of how long it will take to kill him that close to his base, right? The health potential is always tricky. Roche will be back up here pretty soon, and it does look like Virtus.Pro are looking to kind of congeal around it and get ready to move. The Octarine Core did just get finished on Death Prophet, so that timing could not have been closer for Empire. But now, after that last fight, they have taken the largest net worth lead so far this game, which is still not very big, and have kind of gotten themselves into a good controlling position.
Yeah, the Exorcism didn't seem to do as much damage as the needed last fight. Probably just because the puck was being so hard to catch out, and similarly with the Slark. But they do maybe need some other damage sources on VP, even though the Lifestealer can blow someone up. Now also has the Sandra and Yasha. If he gets controlled at all, he's going to have a really rough time.
Looks like the team is gathering up the smoke or something here. For Virtus.Pro, I'm not sure what they expect to find. They'll probably just dip right into Roche. Maybe they'll go through their opponent's jungle, but as soon as they see how many heroes are up here in the top lane, they will realize that there's grab, and unfortunately going to be a bit longer on the Roche spawn.
Yeah, nice long one there. Given a bit of freedom up to Empire, since of course VP have dire advantage. They now realize on VP, you can see them circling it, they're like, look, our smoke is off the mark, we think they are smoked as well. Slark going to run into them invisibly. Oh, there's smoke. When is it going to end? They might not realize that there's... Oh, okay, never mind. They'll see Ramsey. That's the finger coming out as well, and they blow up the Slark before there is time to blink. KingR gets Yule's up, should be going down here. There we go.
That was a nice salvage on that smoke. And KingR and Slark kind of getting caught out down here. Not something that they could really predict was going to happen. That was a very weird path for opponents that have come from the jungle and in. But this would very realistically be a tower, maybe even a Rax. They might be able to force out the buyback on Ramzes, which would be huge for Virtus.Pro.
Yeah, if the Slark has to buy back, it's really gonna slow down that item progression. Boy, the real pain. There's a beautiful Chronosphere on it too, though. Puck coming in from the sidelines and throwing the bailout onto everyone. G is getting very low. She manages to get up the Spirit Scythe and throws herself up into the air, and she's gonna be just fine. And what could have been just a tower might be a full melee Rax now. The range.
Probably is that.
Yeah, we'll have to see whether they want to
Roche.
stay with the spirits going down. It's going to be hard to find that timing. But VP, they've broken the base, and just off the back of one good team fight, they still have Ravage. They're going to go back and do it again. There they go. There's the Ravage. It was stolen again by the Rubick. But KingR looking for a place to use this, though. It's so difficult here. Not the best of options. KingR going forward, going to try to get it. They managed to find the pick onto Nofear. KingR still needs someone to help push him forward, so not maybe going to see the best of Ravages here, but if they pick up all the heroes in return, this at least will be some sort of win for them. G still trying to run it on off. He is very
Ramzes will
fast.
definitely catch up to him. He's got the Shadow Blade up and the movement speed.
And I think
There
it's
it
a
is.
question of can G get out of range of any of the stuns, since Ramzes doesn't have one. And yeah, G will just go for the TP away and will make it.
No Cyclone Staff on the puck. He went straight into the Bale Discord, big and
Radiant's
dagger
middle
build.
barracks are under attack.
That ends up working out pretty well for G. So that reinitiation with the Tidehunter there also seemed like one of those why engage moments, right? The best case scenario, they take a couple of heroes and then are able to take a basically dead ranged bear. But worst case scenario, they lose their entire team and their Ravage cooldown.
A prize.
That seems like a pretty high risk.
It
for a
ended
pretty
up,
small
yeah.
reward, right? It ended up working
It
out
ended up
fine.
working out, but I very much do agree with you. It was at the time, looked like a nice flashy play, a nice way to get themselves some extra gold, but realistically, as you pointed out, they didn't have any other towers they could attack, since there are tier 2s in other lanes, and without the Exorcism, VP does have a hard time sieging. So, I agree with you. I'm not 100% sure what the...
And now, because they did that play, instead of falling back to Roche with the Ravage, a Roche defense with Ravage would have been enough in terms that the Empire would have had to take a pretty high-risk play to contest. But now Empire is going to be able to take Roche uncontested because of that reinitiation. And this smoke that is presumably happening to Virtus.Pro eventually is going to come out way too late.
Yeah.
They're just
Are they
dancing
waiting?
around up here. They don't have a smoke.
Yeah, they don't have one on cooldown, so I'm not super sure. Well, that's a little unfortunate there for VP. They do lose out on the Roshan. They are, of course, up a Rax. They've got tier 2s to work on through.
Yeah.
We'll have to see, but
In terms of the supers, though, Slark is not the best score for dealing with supers. So at least you have that benefit, right? You've at least sweeped one of the legs.
And Puck, of course, though, is pretty good at wave clear, but as you said, not the ideal lineup on Empire. I'm actually really surprised. We have a lane of Rax, or we have a single melee Rax down, and the net worth is barely in favor of VP. It feels like we've been seeing that a lot more this patch.
Yeah, well, to be fair, Empire do have more outer tier towers down, right? And they're slow sieging down another tower right now with the creeps, and it looks like it will end up going down to this tower. We'll see.
Go, Catty, go. But you were saying,
Yeah, so the building disadvantage is not quite as extreme as it looks like it should be, with one barracks down in favor of one team. But there's also been a lot of trading back and forth, and Virtus.Pro, most of their deaths, their cores, have died when their team is ahead in net worth. Whereas Empire, when their cores are dying, it's when their team is behind. Which means Empire is not being punished as heavily with the comeback mechanics as Virtus.Pro.
well, here comes the push coming out of Empire. It looks like they want to maybe even the odds. No, they're going to back out. looking to farm a little bit more. They do have this Aegis for quite a while since they just took it, so they've got 3 minutes or so for this window. But with the TP up from the Phoenix, it doesn't look like they're going to be doing anything.
Yeah, I think Virtus.Pro just want to try to buy enough time in order to wait out that Aegis. Unfortunately, I'm not positive that that's really a play that they can afford to make either. They don't have any smokes ready for another like 4 minutes or something. So I don't really know what the play is for them. If they wait, that Slark is just going to get going more and more, and the Death Prophet's push potential is going to be less and less scary to Team Empire. But if they don't wait, it means they're fighting into a very sizable disadvantage in terms of that Aegis play.
I think it really just comes down to the shape of these team fights. Lifesteal is getting quite big as long as he isn't controlled by the puck, by the Rubick. That Rage, it's not the longest of magic resistant durations. And so if he can use it just at the right time, could be an easy win for them in the team fight. But of course, anything going south, and I do think, as we've seen in previous team fights, Empire have the damage to blow up VP.
Or if he does get that wrap. Very, very.
And he has been doing a fantastic job on this Rubick so far. Well, we will now see VP get to back out. Nobody wants to blink first. It does feel like if you, as you said, when you jump first, you make a mistake, you're going to be the team on the outs.
I do appreciate that Virtus.Pro. Once again, it's very difficult in this damage and lifesteal and being more attacked. A lot of options available. None of them are right.
Yeah. Not the easiest of times to be a lifestealer here. Well, we'll go back to a bit of posturing. VP balancing their not so great options. Maybe they'll just try to take a push in the top lane. What to see. At some point you kind of have to make a decision on what you're going to be doing. But
We're going to continue to whack-a-mole until they get up. They try to make the pick. Right now the road around is 4 or 5. Sure that nobody does get picked off. They're applying lane pressure all over the map to 4. That is the right play for the next 2 minutes, seconds, but they don't really.
on the downside again for VP, we've got a Diffusal soon going to be up on Afterlife, so that's the build he's decided to go for. Doesn't think he needs the Blink to drop the Chronosphere even further back. So
That's okay. He can have other initiate Slark, so or Faceless Void. He doesn't necessarily able to open up fights with the current as the fight.
And gonna be waiting around for the business to happen. Tidehunter has picked up a pipe as well. I'm unsure if the Shivas would have been. Well, there is a lot of magic damage coming out from the puck, so it makes a lot of sense. And it's Shivas coming out of Death Prophet in a second.
Right. I think the pipe make Tidehunter.
Yeah.
That rage and pipe life dodging protect everything.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Yeah. Finally, we see VP managing to do something. They get the tier 2 in the bottom lane. Take a look around and see that there still isn't. I mean, Night Side actually has a lot of vision, so we're flying dark in a lot of these cases. As I say, that lion puts up a ward, but it is very close right now.
As we're going it's not been dark for a bit. So Empire has arguably it out. They have the aggressive. They are playing in this, but with that side, they should have better be able to get out as a group.
FND trying to make something happen there on to the Slark, but just not quite able to get it. We hear the pinging coming out. Tidehunter wants to go in, wants to make something happen, but it's just so hard.
They use the farm up something so that he doesn't. They even if things go really, really well for them, likely the bottom lane.
We get to go back to Farm City, guys. I hope you're all excited about that. Again, I'm still surprised that this game has not exceeded a more than 4,000 gold swing either way. I wasn't exactly expecting it to be so evenly matched.
It comes a lot down to talked about in the draft that Virtus. That even Empire, I think in a lot of these team fights, Empire has overall execution, have a stronger potential realizing that both teams with unique individual strengths that have made for the.
Yeah, very, very true. Right now, Empire, they're kind of maybe on a stealth mission, you could say. I'm not sure if they're actually expecting to get a kill here or whether they're just being hopeful. And yeah, with TP's out, it looks like they were just being hopeful.
Yeah, the Tidehunter just blitzed onto ground in order to.
Yeah, I've definitely done similar things with Pudge. I've seen that one, the D-warding. Okay, don't want to be in a bad spot for too long.
Right. Yeah, with Pudge, it has to be right next to the.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hadn't seen it. Thought it was funny.
It is. I mean, it's had some really big peaks of action. We're about to become not at 1 kill a minute, but it's had some big action-filled bits, but then for the last, how long? There was not only a pause, but solidly the last 10 minutes, nobody has died.
About the last 6 minutes that we've had. Virtus.Pro are.
Oh, but they are destroying it. There's going to be a Ravage as well. They nicely managed to blow off Ramzes already. Slark immediately buying back the Rubick's down as well. And VP, they have gotten it. They managed to take out that Rax, and now they could go somewhere else if they want. But with the buybacks, it doesn't look like they want to, but it doesn't matter. Ramzes is here. He's taking so much damage, manages to pop that ult so he can stick around and fight a Chronosphere onto 4 of them. The only one not caught is ALOHANDANCE, but he's kept caught up by the exit right away. Scandal dead in the ground. Afterlife in a lot of trouble. And VP, after 10 minutes of silence, just strike back with a devastating precision blow. They are looking for more on the Miposhka. There is no Icarus dive. This is one dead body.
That was actually Virtus.Pro. They waited with an immense, but not only until
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
Timing on an engagement, capture opponent's stop guard, and win the. Be rewarded with another set of rounds. Got really hard to keep
Oh, they're trying to get it go. They blink in front of Ramzes, so he can't get out. And that's the GG. No buyback there. A perfect blink by yoky, blocking him off from the pound stick to safety. Well,
that was there's no other way. That was a perfect. Everything in the last 8 minutes ends up come down and culminating. Perfect decision made by Virtus.Pro. Really well captained by.